What's up, everybody? Welcome to another awesome episode of Button Mashers, the podcast where we talk about video game news and releases and just in general gush about stuff. I'm Chris.
I'm Connor.
And we will be guiding you through the experience today with some notes and stuff, actually.
Professional. Very professional.
Yeah. So this is episode 6. And we have a bunch of cool stuff coming up. We have some news stories and some game releases. And the
a little bit of housekeeping too.
Yeah, and the topic show today is are we getting burned out by remasters, and is that a potential danger of all these classic games harping back to the good old times?
Remakes and soft reboots are included in that too. You're not safe for Resident Evil 7, even though I love you.
Yes. But before that, some housekeeping. We are recording this on a Monday, so it probably won't go up till Monday night. Like late night, so sorry about that. Schedules are a little tough.
Yeah, it's hard.
We apologize, but we got the camera working again, unless it corrupts again, which I hope it doesn't. But you know, because you're in the future audience. Alrighty, so that's all the housekeeping I had. Did you have anything else to update?
Just to mention, just some stories we've talked about recently. For those of you who were around for the, or have stuck around since the Alex Maurer video we did a few weeks ago, I believe that was episode 3?
Mm-hmm.
Episode 3?
Oh, by the way, my Crash Bandicoot mug came.
So we have matching mugs. Cheers!
Yeah. Cheers with water.
And now it explodes.
Oh my god, yeah, that's a good one.
Alex Maurer case is still going on. This nightmare is not over yet. She is back DMCAing people because the world is unfair, I guess, is where we're at this point. And it is official. The whole thing is going to court. She's been served. God, I just want this over with. I just end it. Somebody take devices away from her and get her the help she needs. Please.
Someone cut her Wi-Fi cable. No, yes. Don't do that. That's illegal. That's illegal.
Bad. Don't vandalize somebody else's property, please.
I said half that sentence and I was like, I need to shut up sometimes.
Oh, trust me, everybody goes through that.
Alrighty. But before we get into the news stories, we always talk about what we've been playing. So Connor, start us off this week.
This week has been a lot of Shadow of Mordor. And normally I would be playing other stuff. I still have Fury loaded up on my Xbox One. I still have Titanfall 2, obviously, which I've been playing on and off, but for the most part, I've been on Shadow of Mordor, which now that I got into the meat of the game, I got into the second half, which is when the Nemesis system opens up and we can start messing around with
and
things.
And you've played this before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Second playthrough, just to clarify things.
Third, actually. Third playthrough of Shadow of Mordor, but first one in quite a while. Beat the main story, beat the main game. Had a good deal of fun once I was able to start messing with people and setting orcs to start killing each other. It was just, it was very gratifying when I would hold up my arm and hear Alistair Duncan go, "Serve my will," and then they'd all start killing each other.
That was always fun. Man, that game has more like orc management than you think at first.
Oh yeah, it's like
comes out of the blue.
It's not about Talion at all or any of the other characters. It's about the orcs.
Yeah,
orcs are awesome.
So that's fun. Anything else?
The usual, Titanfall 2, a couple of good matches, really having fun, playing the Monarch Titan.
The weekly check-in?
Yep. That's about as much as I can say for it. I've just been kind of boosting that one for a while, boosting some of the new weapons, just trying to get them to catch up with everything else.
And boosting is like upgrading?
Oh, yeah. Like, just constantly, instead of, normally when I play Titanfall 2, I switch around a lot, whether my Titan or what weapons I'm using.
You're flexible.
Yeah, but right now, because I've got this, I've upgraded the others so much, I have to catch the Monarch Titan up to get to where they are.
Awesome. I actually didn't silence my phone, so I'm going to really quickly do that.
That's all right.
Just in case people call me.
I really should play The Witcher again sometime.
That's a big commitment.
It is a big commitment. That's
like saying, all right, for the next month, I'm done with games.
I'm done with all games but this one.
Yeah.
The Witcher.
Which, if you're going to do that with a game, The Witcher is a really good pick. Much better than Fallout. Anyway,
Sorry, but yes, it's true.
Moving on before the fanboys.
What have you been playing, Chris?
I've been playing more Crash and Sin Trilogy, obviously. Man, I started playing it again now that I've gotten used to the controls. My second playthrough has been a lot of fun. I'm on my way to platinum the second game, then I'll move to the third, and then I'll save the first for the last because that first is just so god awful hard. Boy, it's very challenging. So I'm saving that for last, so that I don't just extract all the fun out of the others by having to beat platinum the first game. So I'm almost done with the second game. I've already collected all the collectibles, all the gems, color gems, everything. I'm three trophies away from getting the platinum. The only thing I have left to do are the time trials, which are a pain in the butt. To be honest with you, they're tougher than I expected. But the good thing is, for the trophy, and this is like, thank you, Vicarious Visions, you don't have to get the platinum, you only have to get the gold or better.
Okay.
So it's not like it's not like you have to be first place. If you're second place, they're like, oh, that's fine, that counts.
Yep.
You know?
We'll give you that one.
Which is really neat, because the platinum trophies are like dev times, which is like, I couldn't do that, you know?
Hacks.
And that's just like a good way to do trophies, because I hate it when trophies are like unreachable, because it's like I wanna show the game, give the game the highest honor of beating it completely, and I can't because you made it impossible.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, that's Crash Insane. I've also jumped back into Astroneer a little bit.
Oh yeah, that was
with all its updates and stuff. That's really, really fun. I love base building games, as I've talked about them many times before on the show.
Is it like with Minecraft with Astroneer now, where it's a completely different game from where it started?
I wouldn't say that. There's still a lot of problems. So for example, you sort of start with your base module, and you go around and start sort of crafting and doing things, and your base module is like your only save point. You can build more later, but for in the early game, it's your only save point, really.
Yeah.
And then as you sort of gather stuff, you build more modules that connect with these tubes by one another, so that they could like deliver resources from one another, like oxygen and battery power.
Yes.
But the problem is, for example, if you connect, so it's sort of like managing a power cord, like an actual real life power cord. You plug that into the wall, and then you have all these things plugged into it. But eventually you start running out of space, so you're like, oh, I need an extension with more plugs. And the problem is, if you connect 4 modules into your base in the early game, you can't extend the cord anymore. Which is, I think, a bug that they really need to fix, because there's, I think, 5 types of buildings that you can build. So basically, if I use all 4 cords of my base without sort of giving it an extender, I can basically start a new game because I'm screwed.
Yeah, but at the same time, it adds a nice little weight to it, doesn't it? You know,
right.
You have to really choose what you want to do.
Well, no, you can build an extender and do a lot more and build huge bases. It's just there's nothing that tells you, hey, you need an extender now, because if you use all your 4 slots, you'll be donezo. You know what I mean?
Just, call it a learning curve.
Thankfully, it happens early enough in the game that you've only maybe invested an hour. So it's like, all right, I can just retrace my steps and make sure that I do the things right. But what I really love about it is, like, the exploration really matters. Where, like, in Minecraft, it really matters too. But cops are coming by. But
we're gonna get arrested. Bye, folks.
But the thing with Minecraft is that you only advance a little bit. Like, sure, you get better materials and then better tools and stuff, but you don't really like advance, get new abilities and stuff.
Level up.
Right. So like in here, there's these like weird objects, these weird sort of sphere blobs that you can research that unlock new stuff.
Oh.
So it'll be like, oh, now you can build a truck that can carry more stuff. Or like, it'll be like, now you can build a spaceship with more fuel that can reach further planets, so you can reach like the exotic ones. Or it will be like, now you can 3D print this extra life tank or something, which is like really cool, and it really like incentivizes you to explore. There's also this like, you have an oxygen tank, and if you run out of your base, you start to lose oxygen. So there's like a lot of survival management that way. I have to make sure I have enough power and enough oxygen to survive if I go gather stuff. And you can build these little sort of power lines that supply you with oxygen from your base, which is really fun. These like tethers. Anyway, I've been having a lot of fun in that game.
Yeah, Astroneer is one of the main reasons that I regret not having a gaming PC.
It's honestly not. I don't think it's that taxing on your PC. I don't think it's like a. It's a beautiful game, but I don't think it's like a high technical, millions of polygons, like all the spark effects in the world. Kind of. It's not like a Witcher 3 high level of polish and detail game. No. Like The Witcher 3 will destroy your PC. Oh, yeah. It will take a hammer to it.
It'll destroy most PCs.
Yeah, whereas this game is more like...
accessible.
Yeah, it's got more of like that art style that like, you know, it's polished, but it's not demanding like Nintendo does.
Right.
Yeah.
I might so that's what I've been playing. Once I get my paycheck.
Yeah, it's only like $20.
I know. It's just like to have a little bit of extra money in the bank.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just... If anybody wants to pick that up, it is in early access, so bugs are all over the place.
Be cautious, but you've been warned, and it says so when you get the game.
Yeah, so that's good. But it's really fun. Anyway, we gotta get on to the news.
The news stories.
Yay! I like wish we had like a sound effect that could come with that, but
we can find one. Find us a new news story. Words. Find us a news story graphic and sound effect, and we will use it.
Yeah, do the work for us, Internet. Yeah. We don't want to do it.
Who wants to do work?
You know, why don't you just come over to my house and host a podcast for me and then upload it for... No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's a bad idea. Don't do that.
That's a bad idea. We'll get swatted. The first story on the docket is the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy is still #1 in the charts in the UK. So this story comes to us by Tamur Hussein via GameSpot. Sorry if we mispronounced any name, but
I think you actually got that one pretty good.
I hope so. Watch, we'll get an angry email from him.
Oh God.
Not that he cares about tiny little podcasts like ours. No. He writes, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy retains the #1 spot in the UK sales chart for the week ended July 8th. According to Sales Monitor Chart Track, no other PlayStation 4 title has managed to hold the top spot for 2 weeks in a row since Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. That's mind-blowing to me.
That's pretty impressive.
But for Crash,
sense?
Like this may be the big sleeper game of 2017.
Maybe, but it's like, well, we'll get into this later when we get into the topic of the show, but it's Crash, the original trilogy just remastered.
I think
remastered, remade, but
right. I think this really speaks to what we'll get into later is like a lot of the remakes and remasters cater to people who grew up with games in the 80s, not necessarily in the 90s, and now that those people have grown up and started developing games, that the 90s big hits come back, there's sort of like a niche market there that hasn't been catered to that helps elevate this game, especially now in the summer where there's a
very few releases,
bigger drive after E3.
So let's do the full list.
Anyway,
for last week's game releases in the UK. The #1 is obviously Crash. #2 is GTA 5. #3 is Overwatch. #4 is FIFA 17. #5 is Micro Machines World Series. I've never heard of this game.
So Total Biscuit did a video on this. This is sort of like it's some Micro Machines is apparently a brand of like tiny racer cars that was physical toys, and they made a game out of it, which has a cool aesthetic. Basically, the way the levels are designed is you race as these little tiny cars on these oversized household things. So like
Hot Wheels if they were smart.
Right. So it's Hot Wheels the game, sort of, but apparently it's janky.
Oh.
So yeah.
That's all right. #6 is Battlefield 1. #7 is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. #8 is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. #9 is Rocket League. Shocking. #10 is Horizon Zero Dawn.
So the thing that is really mind-blowing to me is that Crash isn't an A-star franchise. Never was. Almost was when it first came around, but didn't quite break through.
No. But people know what Crash is.
People know what Crash is, but I don't think anybody expected Crash to be able to take on, granted in the UK, but to be able to take on Grand Theft Auto, Overwatch, FIFA, Battlefield, Mario Kart, COD, Horizon, and Rocket League. I mean, these are games of massive scale that granted have been in the market out for a while, But when this article stated that the only other Sony exclusive that has done this is Uncharted 4,
I just sort of spot 2 weeks in a row.
I just sort of stared at it because Crash is this like niche, tinier game that was supposed to be really great for the people who liked it, but now it's sort of starting to become really big. So it'll be interesting to follow this along. It's just really exciting times for Crash. For the listeners, I'm wearing a Crash shirt.
I'm wearing a Sloth shirt. I don't know what it means. It's just a good looking
because
shirt.
It's a sleeper game.
I'm done.
Yeah. That was okay. Anyway,
that was not good.
Moving on.
Next up. Next story. Odyssey axes game over from Allegra Frank at Polygon. We also wanted people to be. This is a quote. We also wanted people to be able to, you get into a kingdom and you can just kind of continually keep going through that kingdom without being pulled out. So that was why we kind of wanted to get rid of the lives idea. Yoshikage Kozumi, G-Maze.
Games producers.
So,
to give a little bit of context, sorry, that was a typo. Mario Odyssey is getting rid of the game over screen, and it's getting rid of its infamous life system with the 1-ups. Basically, what happens now is when you fall off a cliff or die, you go back to the checkpoint and you lose 10 coins. Even if you have no coins, you just sort of respawn at the checkpoint. And this was a quote from Yoshiaki Koizumi's Twitter, who's the game's producer, saying that because of the way the game is open world and because like the levels are sort of these vast sort of maps now, that they didn't want to reduce progress as much, I guess, as past Mario games have done, which is okay, but
yeah, I don't have a problem with this. I mean, there's still a fail system. You can still lose technically.
Right, but it's there's no hard fail state, which is a little disappointing. I mean, games recently have moved heavily towards being more of an experience and less of a challenge. And I think the way that people were like, Crash is so hard sort of shows that as well. It'll be interesting to see how this feels in a game to just say,
yeah,
well, no matter what, this checkpoint that I just hit, I'm never going to lose that. Whereas Crash has sort of that same vibe, except because now in the remaster, you can save in between levels. Even if you lose all your lives, you only have to restart one level, which isn't that long. So I guess it's comparable given the size of the levels. And we won't really know if it sucks until we play it. But I just thought this was really interesting given the fact that this is Mario taking giant leaps from Nintendo that never does this.
Will they pay off? We don't know. But I'm glad Nintendo's taking risks.
Do you think that this will hurt the hardcore Mario fans over the casual Mario fans?
Maybe. I mean, as someone who likes Mario and tries to play them, I've never really had a Nintendo system except for the Game Boy, but I still, whenever I had the chance to play a Mario game, I would play a Mario game. This doesn't bother me too much, but I'm sure there's going to be somebody who's like, how dare you take out the live system in Mario? That's a perfect system. You can never change it. And no,
right.
I really don't care.
I mean, the thing that bothers me about it, what is the thing that I liked about Crash, is this sort of underlying tension that I really like of, okay, this is it. I'm either gonna get to the next checkpoint and grab some lives on the way, or it's back to the beginning of the level, and there's that one hole in the middle that I failed on 12 times, so I'd really hate to do that.
Well, I mean, the thing to note about that is with Crash, you're talking about very linear, very well directed, and very well staged levels. You go on a straight path A to B. With Mario Odyssey and with other open world games, I think about Shadow of Mordor right now, there's no real checkpoints to be had. You're just kind of going through the world.
Right.
So I see why they would want this to be the system of, the game fail state.
And it's a tough comparison because it's a merger of platformer and open world games. But to me, like, The Witcher stands out as an open world that is difficult if you start it on the higher difficulty, which is my favorite way to play, and you don't prepare properly, you'll get your butt handed to you. And I really love that because it's this whole like, all right, I gotta get the right potion. I gotta make sure that my blade is coated in the thing that the monster hates. And then when you're into battle, it's like this moment to moment tension. Whereas I'm sure Mario is more relaxed and more of a, like just enjoy the view and do some triple jumps and have fun. And capture hats, capture objects and people and whatever you want. But there is like a hardcore side to Mario. I mean, if you go on the Mario Maker subreddit, it is insane what people make over there. So like, I wonder if they'll alienate some of those people.
Maybe, but who knows?
I doubt it. I mean, they do have Mario Maker, which is an infinite well of difficulty.
Yeah.
Anyway, we gotta move on. We've talked about this for way too long.
Next story.
Next story is a little bit of a smaller one. Metal Slug 2 comes to the Switch. This is via Nintendo.com's website. For $8 next week, Metal Slug 2 comes to the Switch, and this is really interesting because the Switch store has been sort of flooded with Neo Geo games. Metal Slug being one of the best ones that they got.
Oh yeah.
So I'm really excited. I'm grabbing this. It's $8.
Yeah.
It will give me a reason to brush off the dust on my Switch.
Now I should beat Zelda, yeah.
Now that I beat Zelda, and I even came back a little before the DLC. I was like, I mean, like, I don't feel the need to power up my Master Sword now that I've defeated Ganon.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like
it's
weird.
Cool, but
yeah. Also, like all the DLC quests are like, oh, here's a note. Oh, go to this place. Oh, go to that place, and there's a chest, and you get the DLC stuff, and it's like,
it's a pretty sweet chest.
It's boring.
Yeah, it's pretty boring. But still, Metal Slug. I mean, when you think about video games, this is like the archetypal video game. Yeah.
I think the Switch has like a really fun pick up an arcadey thing and put it down after a while.
Yeah.
Sort of vibe, because you don't want to play an arcadey game for 2 hours because you'll want to rip your hair out with the difficulty.
Yeah.
So jumping in and out of that is really cool.
Just having a good time.
Yeah. All right. Moving on.
Next story.
Summer Games Done Quick closes with a new record
of money raised.
Yeah, this comes to us by Owen S. Good of Polygon. There was $1.7 million raised for Doctors Without Borders by Summer Games Done Quick. There were 30,041 donors over the week-long extravaganza, which is more than $500,000 over the previous years. Over the previous year.
I think we just clap.
Yeah.
Clap for a second, just like, yeah. Well done, Summer Games Done Quick, because damn, that's impressive. Extra Life is always a good way to raise money, but this is, this makes me happy.
It's really good. What I really enjoy about it is a lot of the games that were done were like really hard. So I checked out some of the streams because to my own failure of scheduling and time, I didn't really watch any of it. But I might actually go back and do it because some of these times are super impressive. There's a Dark Souls run, and any person run done in 29 minutes and 5 seconds. That's insane.
It takes me an hour to get through the first area in Dark Souls.
Yeah, like I need 3 tries to beat the tutorial boss. So some other notable runs: Super Meat Boy, which is hard as all hell. Any percent race, 21 minutes and 14 seconds.
What?
That's insane.
For those of you who have not played I'm adjusting the mic. For those of you who have not played Super Meat Boy, it is a hard-ass game. It is a very hard game. It's like the old school platformer came back basically with Super Meat Boy.
Right.
There were others, but you know, that's the one that was just like, hey, you can make money off of this. And then you get things like Binding of Isaac and stuff like that. But this is the one that is just like, hey.
It's so hard. It is so hard. You have to
How do you feel about getting punched in the gut?
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
And even when you beat the level, it shows you all your deaths from the level.
Yeah, it's like you are a failure. Sir.
Yeah,
you are a failure.
It's like, do you wanna see all your failed attempts at the same time? And it's just like, oh,
not really.
My gaming skill is shrinking.
It's okay. It's okay. It's over now. But hey, 21 minutes is
21 minutes, so that's pretty nuts. There's also 1001 Spikes, which is an indie game, which is kind of like Super Meat Boy, but a little bit slower, a little bit more platformy, and less like just go. Any person run completed in 23 minutes. By a guy called Double Taco, which that's a great username.
That is a great username.
You got a few claps of me from that.
Tacos.
Tacos are just the best, man.
Not Taco Bell tacos.
So
sorry, Taco Bell, but you suck.
Yeah, really, honestly, 100% Taco Bell is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably my most hated fast food store. But yeah, games done quick is always really fun, and I'm like, ever since I watched a little documentary about people trying to break the wall in what's that Zelda game that's a lot in the ocean on the Wii U or Wii? Wind Waker.
Yes, that's the one.
Wind Waker HD.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
There was a really cool video about how forever people tried to break this one barrier in that game, and they couldn't. And once they did it, it was like a big achievement, and then the speedruns dropped by tens of minutes.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. It's always fun to see how insane some people are with video games.
Mm-hmm. And so much better than us.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to take over for the last story?
Sure. Here's a nice thing.
Oh, alrighty, we're back. Sorry about that. The phone rang, so had to go shut that thing off.
Life happens.
Yeah, it really does.
Anyway, like I was saying. Last story. From Nintendo. Our friend Dion Dasanana. I'm not even gonna bother.
So here's
the link.
I tried
via express
to learn it.
.uk.
I think it's Dion Dasanayaki. That's my guess. I'm sorry.
That's right.
We tried.
Yep. But SNES pre-orders are being canceled. Amazon UK has been sending out emails to customers who purchased more than one Nintendo Classic Mini Super Nintendo Edition. Those customers have been told that their order has been retroactively limited now to just one unit. And it was sold out in minutes on Amazon, which that part doesn't surprise me, but this does. The fact that Amazon and Nintendo are limiting the orders made by people. But I was talking about this with Chris earlier. This actually does make a lot of sense from both a business standpoint and from a non-fraud kind of standpoint.
It makes sense given the fact that it's Nintendo. In general, it's still stupid.
Yeah.
So what Nintendo is trying to do is they're seeing the piece of pie that all those people on eBay reselling Switches and NES Classics for $500 a pop for just the console are getting, because people are buying them like crazy because they can't get them anywhere else. So Amazon basically said, all right, you can only pre-order one of these things per account. That way you can't buy 5 and resell them.
For $10,000 each.
Yeah, for $1 million per piece. But the problem with that is they're still not available. So you're just making them even less available. So it's like and
Nintendo said that they would make more of the SNES, but it's Nintendo.
Yeah. Given its past, they're in a really bad spot. And I understand that production problems do happen, but they have earned zero sympathy from me because of how they've treated amiibos and other things. Because I have seen it. I am foreign. I have been to the stores in Europe. Those amiibos are all over the place there.
Nintendo! What are you doing?
Like all the rare ones. You can just buy them.
Gold Mario everywhere. They're littering the streets.
It's that's what I'm saying is like the part you don't know which is artificial rarity and which is actual production problems, which is a big problem.
Yeah.
Like I think Nintendo needs to release some like production numbers and like some hard stats for me to believe them on this one.
Yeah.
If it's true that they have production problems, which I will never believe for the minis because they're ROM boxes.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh well. So that's the end of the stories for the week. let's move on to the topic of the show.
So the thing that a lot of these stories have in common is
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia, going back to games, remastering games and stuff. And I've been really thinking about this a lot lately, which is are remasters and remakes the superhero movies of video games. And are we gonna burn out on them? Because there's the same argument happens in film, which is when are people gonna burn out on superhero movies, and they haven't yet.
Yeah,
and
I was convinced it was gonna happen in
years
2015 with Age of Ultron. I was like, that's the one. That's the one where people are just gonna stop.
Yeah,
and I was dead wrong.
Yeah, I still feel that after Infinity Wars, which is like 2020 or whatever, people are gonna start being like, all right, like.
I don't know. I mean,
we've had enough,
a lot of money.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it goes for another 20 years at this point, because like people just keep showing up.
Yep.
So they're going to keep making them. And we're sort of starting to get into dangerous territory here with games, where there's a lot of games coming back that I love and that are treated with care.
Yeah.
Which is really awesome.
Yeah, you love that.
Awesome to see.
Really great stuff.
But at the same time, you know, is it going to be too much? If once we have a new Spyro and, let's say, a Crash Team Racing and a new Crash, will people burn out? And will that hurt games that are good and made with love and care? Because that will be bad.
I think Crash is safe from all of this because it has been such a hiatus.
Yes.
But
it's also like at the forefront now of this, I don't know what you want to call it, a renaissance of classics.
New wave?
Yeah.
The new wave of classics. That sounds pretty good.
The new classic games wave.
Yes. But we were kind of talking about this a few weeks ago during our E3 show, because I was very skeptical about the Shadow of the Colossus remake, because I thought it was just a remaster.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Shadow of the Colossus is one of my favorite games of all time. Well, I should be ecstatic that there's a redo of it coming out, but first off, we've already had one, and because that game holds such a special place in my heart, I want it to be treated with the care and respect that I feel it deserves, because it is a great game, and I don't want it to feel like, oh, it's a new generation, so let's do Shadow of the Colossus again. I don't want that to be a thing. You know, it's like with Call of Duty. I'm tired of Call of Duty. I haven't bought a Call of Duty game probably since Black Ops 2?
Right.
And
not to say that they're bad games.
No, they're not.
We're just burned out.
Yeah, I'm totally burned out on Call of Duty. I'm not even excited for Modern Warfare 2 all that much, beyond the presence of the fact that it's set in World War II again. And, you know, I don't want to feel that way about other games. I already feel that way about Assassin's Creed. I don't want to feel that way about truly great games. I don't want to say in 5 years, oh, it's time for Last of Us again. Oh, it's time for Shadow of the Colossus again. You know, I don't want to have that burnout feeling with truly great games that people really are good at and really do care about when they make them.
What specifically worries you about Shadow of the Colossus?
Well, I was worried about it until I found out it was a remake, not a remaster.
Okay.
Because
so you weren't worried that they were just gonna
polish it up and make it look,
up-res it and package it.
Right. Like, that's what I was concerned about. Because that is lazy game design. Once I found out that they wanted to just remake it and update it and make changes to it and possibly add those new colossi that they had to throw out in the original game, now I'm excited.
So the thing with those is the director of the original game has stated that he has sent a letter to Blue Point Games, who are doing this remake, like saying, this is what I wish for you to do and this is what I wish not for you to do. One of the things that he wishes not for them to do is include any of the colossi that were cut.
Damn it!
He said, I don't want it. They were cut for a reason.
Damn it!
So I don't know if that's going to be the case. I want to temper expectations for everyone who's trying to get hype, so that we don't have a No Man's Sky, because a No Man's Sky with Shadow would hurt so much. But the thing is, Blue Point Games are known for doing excellent ports. They did Uncharted on the Vita, which was received really well, and it was good. Like a lot of the games they touch have very positive reception. And I know you weren't impressed with the graphics.
No, I thought the art design didn't look particularly good. It had lost that grainy quality that made it look so good.
Here's what I've been noticing is that I think a lot of that has to do with YouTube compression because
Oh,
there's a lot of crash footage, and I'm sorry I keep coming back to Crash so much, but it's like the best example right now. There's a lot of crash footage that was that pre-release that I was like, I'm not sure if I like the way that looks, but once I saw it in game, it looks infinitely better because
oh yeah, Crash is a great game.
YouTube compression totally took away like a lot of the darker stages looked really plasticky and like really gray in the trailers, and in game they look infinitely better. So I think
That's exactly what I thought with the Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer and I was like, that looks like toys.
yeah like the YouTube compression makes everything look a little bit more like it's
Smooth
plastic
and
figures
shiny
that
and-
are moving. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So slightly allayed concerns, but now I'm disappointed because we're not going to get those new Colossi.
I mean, we don't know. They don't have to follow him. He's not involved. The original director isn't involved with the project.
True.
Although that might create some headlines if they disrespect his wishes. But
Yeah.
you know, for me, I've watched the Let's Play of the game. I've never actually beaten it. So even if it's just a good-looking remake with tight controls, I'll be happy with that. You know, happy
yeah, you
to
need
jump
that.
in again. Yeah.
You need that. Shadow of the Colossus, I love it, but the controls are kind of terrible.
Absolutely. So, you know, treat it with care, and I think that's all they need to do, and that's what Blue Point is known for.
Yeah.
So,
Didn't they also work on Aliens Colonial Marines? Or is that somebody else?
I don't think Aliens Colonial Marines was
Gearbox,
Gearbox.
and someone else who they sent it off to.
I don't remember. to be
Well, if
honest
you
with
didn't work on Aliens Colonial Marines, I'm sorry for accusing you of that because nobody should be able to have to touch that game.
Yeah,
Ever.
that was rough.
Bedford.
But what I did for the for part of the topic of the show is I went back through and looked for examples of console manufacturers trying to push old school, and of games this year trying to push sort of either that we're games from the good old days, excuse me, or that we are games that are returning to the roots, which to me counts as the same idea of nostalgia. So, just glancing through, right? Good examples: Crash that we talked about, the SNES Mini, Shadow of the Colossus, and Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
All in the talks right now. All sort of trying to get an old school feel into modern gaming. And a couple more games that I thought were not directly doing that, but sort of getting the feel of like, oh, we're bringing back blank. Assassin's Creed is trying to reinvent itself. It's trying to feel like the old games. It's going back in time and all that stuff. It's still going open world and doing all these things that are different. But I think
it
it's
still
trying
feels
to
like the Ubisoft game.
it's trying to I get the feeling from Assassin's Creed that it's trying a little to hark back off of like the original success and like look at really what made it good.
Oh, definitely.
Call of Duty World War II is going back to its roots. Mario Odyssey is trying to revamp 64 in some fashion. Resident Evil 7 is saying we're going back to the roots of horror. And
excellent.
sure, these games tackle it differently, but they're still trying to get the same vibe going of
Right.
like, oh, this is just like you remember, but better.
Right.
That's like a huge marketing push nowadays, especially this year. So I thought that was really interesting to think about. Like,
I mean, what was the main marketing thing behind Resident Evil 7? It's scary.
yeah, it's
As opposed
scary
to
again.
Action. Yeah, scary again.
That
People were always saying it's scary again,
and
as opposed to, you know.
and that's been sort of the tagline for a lot of these games. It's blank again.
Yeah.
You know, it's Crash again. It's Sonic. Sonic is fast again. You know, that kind of stuff.
We're at World War II again.
Yeah, and it's really interesting how much power that has with nostalgia, and again going back to trying to harness the 90s people who have now grown and have more money to invest into gaming. The thing I want to talk about is comparing it to the superhero movies.
Oh yeah.
Do you
And
think,
not just superhero movies. There are so many remakes and remasters of movies that come out.
do you think that remakes and remasters will sort of start taking over more in the coming years, or do you think that people who say we need new IP will get their way and that we'll get more original stuff like Horizon?
I am leaning towards we're getting more and more sequels, reboots, remakes, and remasters. And I say this because, I mean, we just saw the evidence today. You know, Crash is #2 on the sales chart.
Number one.
Number one on the sales chart in the UK 2 weeks in a row.
Beating, I can't believe it, beating GTA 5.
And the last game that you said that did that was Uncharted 4, a sequel. In short,
Yeah.
people don't want new IPs. They want the same old, same old. I mean, yes, they want it redone and
Right.
revamped and brought into the modern technology in the modern sense, but at the same time, it's comfortable. You know, Uncharted 4 is perhaps the least impressive of the Uncharted games. It's one of the reasons why it's my favorite Uncharted game. It's not trying to be anything more than it has to be. It's trying to tell a story and do its own thing. But at the same time, you know, you look at Crash and it is just the first 3 games over again. And that's great because the Crash games are great, but
like what's impressive specifically about the Crash games is and about a lot of these remasters, the struggle is the source code is gone because like sort of saving it up on hard drives wasn't really that much of a thing back then. So for Crash,
you do have to build it from scratch.
For Crash, literally the only thing that Vicarious Visions had, and I read a big article about this, was the original wireframe meshes of some of the levels. So they had some, not all, some of the geometry of the level design.
And after that,
they didn't have any code. They had to redesign Crash from scratch, all the characters, everything. Which is why they said it took them forever to figure out how they want to do the jump. Because all they could do was reference the geometry in the level itself.
And watch gameplay footage from Let's Plays.
Play the original game, yeah. So that's really part of the struggle here. And like for me, it's interesting to compare again this across media because even in books, like you have the New York Times bestsellers that sell all the time, but I feel like there's more of like an indie scene in movies and more of a openness to new stuff in books that is much smaller in video games. Sure, you have Steam and you have your indies there, and you have some games that do really good stuff. Like Hollow Knight is a $15 game that I put 20 hours into, and it's an excellent Metroidvania.
Well, I mean, you know, for every one movie or book that comes out as a totally new thing with a unknown author behind it and just forges its own path, you know, you've got 10 or 20 that don't go anywhere.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
for every Get Out, there's half a dozen some random movie that nobody has heard of because it didn't do well, because nobody wanted to see it.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is like, how do I phrase this? There is definitely a saturation of content on Steam, obviously. That's a big problem. But I like Hollow Knight is such an excellent game, and I feel like it deserves better numbers than it's getting. Now, I haven't seen the numbers it's getting, and it's again Hollow Knight, you know, is one of those indie darlings that has sort of broken through and garnered some success, but it's still I think in games people just go, I just want to shoot more stuff. I think there's a lot more of that popcorn attitude of like you see in movies, which is I just want to see stuff explode. That is in video games with the interactive section. And there's also an interesting article that talks about, and I can't think of the name or where it was from, but I like
leave a link to it in the doobly-doo.
I probably won't be able to find it, but it was like an interesting argument which said, well, a lot of the casual gamers are probably maybe like have a shitty job or like they're going to games for escapism, in which case they need a game like COD, which is at an 11 all the time, because they want to just be the hero for that 1 hour that they have out of their day, where they don't want to just deal with life.
Yeah.
And I sort of like understand that, and that's sort of like why
Same,
a lot of action.
For me, that's the main draw of Titanfall 2. It just so happens that it's a good game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing for me with Rocket League. It's like I come back to Rocket League maybe every day now, because it's this like sense of accomplishment of like I can see the rank that I'm building. Slowly but surely, I will see you gold at some point.
One day
you will be mine.
Yes, one day the gold.
And
then platinum.
And yeah, and then diamond, and then champion, and then grand champion. But I'd have to be best in the world to be grand champion.
This is true.
But that's the thing. It's like a level of clarity of seeing my rank in the world that I don't get in my day-to-day stuff when we try to make this podcast, or when we do things on a daily basis.
Yeah.
There's
like jobs.
There's a lot of like you know, you pull your arrow back and you try to hit an invisible target. That in video games, seeing the target and being able to aim properly and just pursue your goal that way is like very I don't want to say relaxing, but like relieving maybe of stress.
A little bit.
Yeah. Because it's like I can see the target, I can go for it. And so that's really interesting to me.
Simple goals, simple ideas, but at the same time, excellent execution can often lead to just a sense of relief of stress. Hey, just look at like, you know, fidget spinners or fidget cubes.
Fidget cubes.
Yes.
Fuck fidget spinners. There, I said it.
Yeah.
I've really stopped liking them. But
okay, I'm good.
It's okay. Connor is like
safe space.
Twitching.
Safe space.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Dang it, I lost my point. I was gonna talk about
easy escapism versus quality assurance.
Right. And the challenge in it too is like you can constantly grind at something and be fun, or you can like watch a village be built and you can like see the results and say, I did this, I had fun with this today.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good note to end on. Is nostalgia is a powerful thing.
Oh, it's a very powerful thing.
The feeling of accomplishment and reward in video games.
But at the same time, you do have to do the original stuff. You have to try something new every now and then.
And I think that is still true, as we see with Horizon and Sea of Thieves, and a lot of these new games. Like Cuphead looks so awesome.
Well, Cuphead's kind of a nostalgic game too. You know, even its whole design is like, hey,
but it's a unique perspective.
Disney cartoon.
It's a unique perspective.
Yeah,
yeah. It's like I think
enough of a new idea.
I think once you say, "Well, take this and put our twist on it," you can say that's somewhat original.
Yeah.
And so like that's the thing. I think people do respond to that. But I mean, you know, when you have your Star Warses and your you know, Call of Duties, like, what do you want? Some of these people grew up with these games, you know? Like I watched an interview with a Rocket League player who said, I've been with this game since the start of super acrobatic rocket powered battle cars, or whatever that original game was, which is like a 10-year-long journey. And once you invest so much time in a video game, you know, whether you're a kid or a teenager or whoever, like
you're stuck with it.
You can't beat it. It stops being about the game and it starts being about growing up with something and the memories that comes with it. Like,
yeah,
I love Crash because, as I've said before, like I played it with my dad and we had a lot of fun together. And there's a lot of fun memories tied to that game. That's why it means so much to me, and that's why I'm wearing a Crash shirt.
Yes.
So it's a powerful thing, man.
Emotion, memories, human psychology that we're not going to get into because we're not psychology majors.
Yeah, and so I guess in a closing thought, I do think, I don't think that will burn out on remasters.
Hell
think
no. No, those are never going away.
Yeah, I think I think there might be sort of hills and lulls in the production of those, you know.
Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah. Well, Final Fantasy 7 is more like somewhere out there at the horizon, you know.
Yeah, you can see it. Maybe is that it? That might be it. Oh no, that's a plane.
There's a little tinkling star in the distance.
Is that it? I can't tell. I think I see a sword and a lot of veggie attitude. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think I just see another CG trailer over there.
God damn it. Square! I'll catch you for this square. All right.
Anyway, so that concludes the topic of the show. Remaster, Burnout. I don't think so. You didn't give your closing thought though, so.
No, I don't think it's gonna burn out ever. They'll still be here. I want them to reduce. That way, it's not like every E3 and every major press conference that video game publisher has isn't half spent on remasters.
Spread
and
them out a
remakes.
little bit.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
That way they have much more impact, and that way they matter so much more.
Right. If done right.
If done right.
I
If
still
you do
get
them
the
shit,
feeling that Assassin's Creed will tank.
probably tank.
Yeah.
They didn't build the hype enough. They didn't take enough of a
No.
break. You needed to wait maybe another year.
And I used to buy every one of those games, and this just looks so generic. Anyway, we gotta finish because we're starting to get close to the end
So
of
let's
time.
do some releases.
Yeah, let's do some releases.
Yeah, not much to talk about, unfortunately, on that regards. We took okay, there's some stuff. First off, for the week of July 9th and 10th through the 17th? We have on Tuesday the 11th, 2 releases that caught our eye. Final Fantasy 12, The Zodiac Age. This is the new
hold on.
remake.
Before we dive into this, what we do every week is we pick 5 games that pique our interest because we don't want to have a 3-hour show where we talk about 35 games.
Yeah.
And so we just sort of pick 5 games each week that pique our interest that we think might be cool, might be something to look out for, or something that has a catchy title, to be honest with you.
Which is what we'll see later. But
Yeah.
we can't spend an hour talking about games that have nothing to describe them on besides a title. So anyway, this week, Tuesday the 11th, sees the release of Final Fantasy 12, The Zodiac Age. Reviews of this have been going up recently, and
They've been pretty well received.
yeah. I mean, Final Fantasy 12 is one of the more divisive entries in the series, and to think that people like this is a good sign.
It's hard for me to determine whether I should get into it because I came into Final Fantasy with 13 and Lightning and all that. So like I really have very little reference point for the earlier games because there's definitely like phases of like, oh, here's where it get weird with technology, and then it came back into magic and fantasy and like these phases of the game. So I don't know if I'll like 12 because I don't have a reference for it.
I mean,
but I'll check out some gameplay and we'll see.
I saw it when it originally came
looks
out on
interesting.
the PS2, but it's just kind of it was a game that was not for me because at that point I was 10-ish, maybe. The other game that comes out on Tuesday that caught our interest was Minecraft Story Mode Season 2, Episode 1. Now,
all right.
I don't know how you feel about this, but I like Telltale. I still like Telltale.
Did you play or watch Story Mode Episode 1?
You mean the first season?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Did you like it?
Honestly, yeah.
Because
it was nice and fun. It was simple and enjoyable.
I thought that specifically Minecraft Story Mode was a garbage truck on fire. And not because the story sucked. Telltale does tell good stories. But because that game almost played itself.
It did almost play itself a lot.
And that was rough.
I like Minecraft. I like the Minecraft Story Mode that Telltale did. I'm looking forward to see where they take it in the future.
If you're down for a Minecraft movie, then go for it.
Okay, no. Now you lost me. Okay, so Wednesday's kind of an interesting thing because there's no real singular release that we thought we could put on there, so we just kind of wrote it down as a general VR day. There's a lot of VR coming out on Wednesday, and I mean, I'm fine with that. I don't really feel too much interest. I did see this morning that Oculus is going on sale for like $400, so it's like in a somewhat manageable price range, so hopefully somebody capitalizes on that and we get some good VR games.
I'm waiting for version 2.0 of VR.
That'd be nice.
I don't want to buy it into this test bullshit.
Yeah. the beta.
Yeah.
But it's just general VR day.
Mhm.
I'm mildly interested just to see what comes up on the internet about it.
A lot of it is dumb, overpriced experiences. So watch out.
Tech demos, yeah. Just be careful. Do your research.
The VR stores have been just flooded with like almost Steam Greenlight quality stuff.
Almost. We it sounds like we're joking, but we're not.
Yeah, so
it's
careful.
bad.
Be careful out there in the Wild West, brother.
Oh yeah. Thursday, here's the one with the catchy title we're talking about. Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator. I don't know who made this. I don't know who's publishing
this is the game made by the Game Grumps, the Let's Play channel.
Oh, you think they made it?
No, I'm pretty confident. If this is the game you're talking about, I'm gonna look it up real quick. Then this is the game that was made by. It wasn't developed by the Game Grumps, but
they paid for it.
They were heavily involved in the production of it. What is it? Dream Daddy?
Yeah, Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator. If the Game Grumps made this, then you automatically have a measure of interest.
Yeah. Brian from the Game Grumps, Ninja Brian, apparently is a character in there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, this is the Game Grumps game.
That's incredible.
I'm gonna definitely try it because if there's one thing that the Game Grumps could do well, it's rating a dad dating simulator.
Probably.
Like that sounds like fun.
And that brings us to our final release. But keep an eye out for that one. Death Squared. Now you picked this one out. You thought this was a good-looking release.
So Death Squared is a puzzle game, couch co-op, 4-player, where you're these colored squares, and the puzzles have different portions that are colored differently. So say there's like laser beams that are colored. So if you're a yellow square, the yellow beam doesn't hurt you, but the red beam might. So then the red guy needs to block the red beam so you can pass and stuff like that.
Oh.
It's cooperative puzzles. But it's like it's really fun. It's a lot of trial and error, and it seems really neat, and it's highly polished, and it will be really fun on the Switch.
That just sounds to me like Portal, but good Portal.
It's kind of like a top down, not really top down. It's like a 3/4 angle, if you know what I'm talking about. And it's sort of static. Like the puzzle is always like one screen. Like you really don't need to.
But I mean, like I'm talking about with the
and there's buttons, switches, lasers. Yeah, it kind of does have the aesthetic. Everything's like metal-y and stuff. It looks really cool. I watched the gameplay of it.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our releases. There's a lot more, but nothing really caught our interest.
And go to the GameStop website if you want to see the full release list.
Or IGN or any news retailer.
Yeah, they have
a full release list.
Yeah, that's fun. Alrighty, so that's it for the show for this week. You can find the two of us on Twitter. I am at the Vanilla Chris.
And I am at Connor Aham. That's HAMME.
So feel free to hit us with questions, comments, or anything at all. We'll try to respond.
If we have the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2 minutes on social media. It's not hard.
Yeah, it's really not that bad. Again, this podcast is called Button Masters, where we talk about video game news and releases and gush over stuff as we did today. So thank you so much for watching, for sticking with us. If you like our show, please give us a subscribe on YouTube under Game of Dorks, or if you are listening, you can find us on SoundCloud or on iTunes, on whatever podcasting platform you're using under Button Mashers. Reviews also help us out, rank us. They help rank us among other podcasts. So if you're on iTunes, feel free to do that.
And they can give us some good quality control issues because, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, we're evolving with, as you can tell,
we evolve with the times.
The yellow background that isn't covering all of the room, and you can see the doors into the rest of the house.
We will fix it.
And the fan and garbage can in the corner. We're working on it.
We will fix it.
Alrighty.
But now your eyes are on it the whole time.
Yeah. You can never unsee it.
We'll fix it.
Maybe we'll turn the fan into a character. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week.